Stanley versus Stephen. Why Kubrick gave the Stanley Hotel the cold shoulder in The Shining. When Stephen King wrote The Shining, he drew chilling inspiration from his stay at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, a place so spooky that even its gift shop probably sells cursed snow globes. Yet when Stanley Kubrick adapted the novel into his cinematic masterpiece, he skipped right past the Stanley Hotel and instead chose to base the Overlook Hotel on two entirely different locations, the Timberline Lodge in Oregon for the exterior and the Ahwahnee Hotel in Yosemite National Park for the interior. The result? A film haunted by ghosts, yes, but also haunted by King's perpetual frustration at Kubrick's creative decisions. Why did Kubrick eschew the very hotel that birthed King's horrifying vision? The answer lies in a cocktail of cinematic ambition, architectural snobbery, and Kubrick's legendary penchant for making everything more difficult than it needed to be. Let's take a hilarious journey through Kubrick's reasoning, or lack thereof, and explore why the Stanley Hotel just wasn't Overlook material. The Stanley Hotel, not creepy enough for Kubrick. Stephen King might have been scared out of his wits at the Stanley Hotel, but Kubrick took one look at it and probably said, "This, adorable." The Stanley, with its bright white facade and cheery red roof, looks more like the set of a Hallmark Christmas movie than a portal to madness. Too pretty, too quaint, the Stanley Hotel, while historically fascinating, lacks the imposing dread Kubrick wanted for the Overlook. It's hard to convey existential terror when your haunted hotel could double as a wedding venue for Instagram influencers. Ghosts of the friendly variety, the Stanley is famously haunted, but its spirits are more Casper than Grady twins. A spectral maid tucking you in at night? A ghost pianist serenading you? Not exactly the stuff of Kubrickian nightmares. The Timberline Lodge, an overlook with gravitas. Kubrick found his overlook exterior in Oregon's Timberline Lodge, a rugged WPA masterpiece perched on the slopes of Mount Hood. The lodge exudes a grandeur and isolation that perfectly capture the Overlook's dual role as a winter wonderland and a psychological torture chamber. Location, location, location. Timberline Lodge's remote, snow-covered setting makes it feel truly cut off from the world, ideal for Jack Torrance's slow descent into homicidal mania. The Stanley, by contrast, is surrounded by the bustling tourist hub of Estes Park. Hard to feel isolated when there's a gift shop and a subway 5 minutes down the road. The Overlook's menace, with its towering facade and ominous presence, the Timberline Lodge embodies the Overlook's role as a character in the film. It looms, it intimidates, and it doesn't need ghostly embellishments to be terrifying. The Ahwahnee Hotel, the Overlook's luxe interior. For the Overlook's interiors, Kubrick took inspiration from the Ahwahnee Hotel in Yosemite National Park, a place so grand that even its ghosts probably dress in formal wear. Aesthetic overkill, the Ahwahnee's opulent decor, with its Native American-inspired patterns, cathedral ceilings, and massive stone fireplaces, screams haunted in a way the Stanley's Victorian charm simply can't match. The Overlook's interiors needed to feel like a labyrinth of luxury and horror, and the Ahwahnee delivered. Cinematic symmetry, the Ahwahnee's geometric patterns and cavernous spaces gave Kubrick's cinematographer endless opportunities for the film's signature symmetrical shots. The Stanley, meanwhile, would have offered doilies. Why Kubrick snubbed the Stanley? A case of creative independence. Stanley Kubrick was not a man to follow someone else's blueprint, not even Stephen King's. By rejecting the Stanley Hotel, Kubrick asserted his creative dominance, reshaping King's ghost story into a film that was less about bumps in the night and more about the psychological toll of isolation and unchecked ambition. The hotel as a character, Kubrick envisioned the Overlook as more than a backdrop, It's a living, breathing entity. The Stanley's cosy charm couldn't convey the Overlook's malevolent personality, but the Timberline and Ahwahnee combined could. Kubrick versus King. Let's face it, Kubrick wasn't particularly interested in King's vision. By choosing his own locations, Kubrick ensured the Overlook was distinctly his creation, not just an echo of the Stanley Hotel's real-life hauntings. The ultimate irony, the Stanley's cinematic glow-up. Here's the kicker. Despite being snubbed by Kubrick, the Stanley Hotel has fully embraced its Shining adjacent fame. It now hosts Shining-themed events, screenings, and even a hedge maze. It's as if the Stanley said, "Fine, if we're not scary enough for Kubrick, we'll make ourselves the tourist trap for Shining fans." From Overlook to Overlooked, the Stanley may not have made it into Kubrick's film, but it still managed to cash in on the movie's success. Who needs Jack Nicholson when you've got Shining-themed cocktails? A legacy of frustration, meanwhile, Stephen King continues to grumble about Kubrick's The Shining. If Kubrick's decision to skip the Stanley Hotel was a power move, it worked. King will never stop complaining, ensuring Kubrick's Overlook remains the definitive version. Conclusion: a tale of two hotels. By choosing the Timberline Lodge and the Ahwahnee Hotel over the Stanley, Stanley Kubrick transformed The Shining into a cinematic masterpiece that transcends its source material. The Overlook Hotel, with its impossible geometry and sinister aura, is the perfect fusion of these two iconic locations, a Frankenstein of architecture and terror. Meanwhile, the Stanley Hotel, with its cheerful charm and mild-mannered ghosts, gets the last laugh by basking in its status as a shining tourist mecca. In the end, Kubrick's snub wasn't a dismissal. It was an invitation for the Stanley to haunt the hearts and wallets of Shining fans forever. Now, that's what I call a killer sequel.